Hi everybody, this is a short video about how to read a nutrition label. We probably have already started this lesson in class, but I wanted to record a short video to review or to introduce the information about the nutrition facts label. So one thing to pay attention to as we begin this activity is that underneath nutrition facts there are two lines here. One says serving size, one says serving size, and one says servings per container. This is very important because serving size tells you how much of a food is considered to be a serving. Now this may not be that it's the amount of food that you eat, but it's important because it's the amount that we use to talk about nutrition. So, for example, in this case, we're looking at a box of cookies, and for this nutrition label, one serving of cookies is considered to be 4 cookies. That means that if you eat 4 cookies, you are having 1 serving of cookies. If you eat 2 cookies, it means that you are having less than 1 serving. If you have more cookies, it means that you're having more than 1 servings. The only reason that's important is that the rest of the information that we find here in the nutrition chart is all based on 1 serving. Notice it says right here, amount per serving. This means 1 serving. That's 1 serving. So all of this information is about 1 serving of food. In this particular case, 1 serving is 4 cookies. And that we can see that there's servings per container. There are 8. So I can probably figure out how many cookies are in the box. I can do serving size, and in this case I'm looking at 4 cookies, right? And I can multiply that by number of servings. Number of servings, and this is for the cookies. Number of servings. And that will tell me how many cookies are in the box. Sorry, I'm writing with the mouse. That's a little hard. So the serving size is 4 cookies. So 4 cookies times, there's our 4 cookies here. 4 cookies times 8, because that's the number of servings. 4 times 8 is equal to 32. And that tells me that in this box of cookies, there are about 32 cookies. I can figure this out by using the information that's on the label. The serving size is 4, and there are 8 servings in the container. That means that there are 32 cookies. We get into some different information here, and we're talking about calories. And calorie is an interesting idea. There's a more scientific definition, but for us, it's really just the energy that is found in food. The idea is that if you eat too many calories, then you will gain weight. If you eat fewer calories, maybe you will lose weight, and maybe you will not have enough nutrition. It's hard to say. It depends on the kind of calories. And you can see that here because in this particular serving of cookies, there are 160 calories. But 70 of those calories come from fat, which is not so great. We can see that calories is in bold, total fat is in bold, cholesterol is in bold, sodium is in bold, and total carbohydrate is in bold, and protein. This tells us that these items that are in bold are pretty important pieces of information. So we can see that the total fat is 8 grams. There's 8 grams of fat. And then the fat is broken up into different kinds of categories. Saturated fat, so if we are looking at some definitions here, saturated fat, that's an A. Saturated fat is the kind of fat that comes from animals. That's animal-based fat. That could be cheese, right? Could be cheese. Could be meat. And is there anything else from animals? I don't think so. So we're really talking about meat and dairy, right? That's saturated fat. If we talk about trans fat is a different kind of fat that scientists have been looking at more recently. And one of the ways that I can talk about this is just to say that trans fat is, generally speaking, chemical. It happens when scientists use food or change food or produce food, and it might end up being trans fat. This is considered to be very, very unhealthy. I'll draw it down, arrow, and also frown, because that's considered to be very negative. Inside of that, there are even more discussions about the different kinds of fat, polyunsaturated and monounsaturated. We're not going to get into that for our purposes, but it is listed on the label. Cholesterol is the next big one that's down here, and that's here because many people think about cholesterol in terms of heart health. And so having a diet low in cholesterol is, generally speaking, considered to be healthier than a diet that's high in cholesterol. That's the same for sodium. This is the amount of salt that's found in food. And for people with high blood pressure and other tendency toward heart disease, too much sodium is unhealthy. Total carbohydrate is another measure that we have of food. It's a different kind of food. It is contrasted with protein, for example, and there are a lot of different kinds of carbohydrates. Some are healthy, some are not healthy. Fruit is a carbohydrate, and that's considered to be a healthy carbohydrate. But cookies, like this box of cookies, it gets its carbohydrates from wheat and other kinds of grain, and it's not considered to be a healthy carbohydrate, but that's listed here. And underneath total carbohydrate is also fiber. Fiber is another important element in our diets. It pulls toxins and unhealthy things out of our bodies when we go to the bathroom. And also under carbohydrate is sugar, because sugar is a carbohydrate. And in these cookies, there are 10 grams of sugar in 4 cookies, right? Now this is all information for just 4 cookies. This is 1 serving. And there also happens to be 1 gram of protein. This information down here is information about the vitamins that are included in the food. So you can see that if you eat the cookies, you're really not getting any kind of vitamins, but they're not particularly healthy. Now, when we looked at this part with the percent of daily value, there's a mark here, and it corresponds to this mark here. And it tells you that percent daily values are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Your daily values may be higher or lower depending on your calorie needs. So if you're somebody who eats 2,000 calories a day, then you want to have less than 65 grams of fat. For saturated fat, you want to have less than 20 grams. Cholesterol should be less than 300, sodium less than 2,400, and total carbohydrates should be about 300 grams. Dietary fiber at 25 grams. You can find this information on the food. We can see here the fiber, the carbohydrates. It allows you to add up and change your diet. And this is expressed in terms of percentages. This means that 4 cookies contain about 12% of the total fat you should be eating in the day. Interestingly, those 4 cookies also represent 25% of the total saturated fat that you should be eating during a day, or that's recommended during a day. So that's the nutrition label. We can get a lot of information off of it to help you think about the kind of food you want to eat and things like that. Now, if I look at some things that have to do with calculation here, if I look at something that has to do with calculation, I might say, okay, 1 serving is 4 cookies. But what if I only eat 2 cookies? What's the information for 2 cookies? Well, for 4 cookies has 160 calories. So I could say, okay, 160 calories divided by 4 cookies. 4 goes into 16 4 times. That gives me my 16. 0, bring my 0 down. 4 goes into 0 0 times, and that's it. That tells me that there are 40 calories. There are 40 calories in 1 cookie. So if I eat 2 cookies, it would be 40 times 2. That would be 80 calories. I can also extend that to something that's bigger. Let's say somebody ate 6 cookies. Okay, well, 6 cookies, that would be 40 calories times 6 cookies, and that would be equal to 240 calories. Right? So that's one way of being able to figure this out. We can do the same thing for fat. There's 8 grams of fat in 4 cookies. So 8 divided by 4 is equal to 2. And that means that there are 2 grams of fat in each cookie. Right? So if I had 10 cookies, that would be 20 grams of fat. 2 grams of fat in 1 cookie. So you can see we can get a lot of information off the nutrition label. So be sure to check it out.